I've never met an addict or an alcoholic when I say that demon that doesn't know exactly what I mean. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Starve the Demon, Recovery by Any Means Necessary. I'm your host, Jenna, and today I'm joined by Melissa from Arkansas. We're going to talk about recovery, peer support, and what it looks like when faith plays a role outside of a traditional 12-step model. Melissa, welcome to
Hey,
Starve the Demon.
I'm excited.
Glad that you're here. Thank you for coming and telling your story. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
My name is Melissa, and I live in the hills of Arkansas. I live in a small town of Marshall. I work for a court reporting firm. I edit court transcripts, but I'm also a peer support specialist. So I get to help support women who are struggling and trying to navigate their way into recovery, whatever it looks like.
That is awesome. You know, on this channel, we don't really get into the details of the misery of addiction because I believe that that's the same for everybody. We're here to talk about the joy of recovery. So tell me, how did recovery first become part of your story?
I started marijuana when I was 13, meth when I was 14. Most of my family members used it. So that's just the way life was. So in 2022, I was miserable. I was miserable on the inside, just how my life was. I just didn't know how to stop to start something different. You know, pride keeps us from doing a lot of things. I didn't know the Lord then. Thought if there absolutely cannot be a God letting me live like this. I would tell my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, I would say, I would rather be in jail than out here living another day like this. Well, that little prayer, I guess you could say, got answered. I was on probation and they came and did a home visit. And that home visit turned into a raid. And so I got arrested. I
Wow.
got new charges and I was in jail without bond. I heard about a local program. It's called Daughters of Hope and Transformation. It's a 1-year Christ-centered recovery program. And I thought, well, I'm going to sign up for this. This is my way out of jail. So I thought, well, I'll be able to get out and be free. I was in there for 25 days before I finally went to the program. But in that 25 days, there was a lady in there who I used with, and she was reading the Bible. I got in on the Bible study with her. I didn't understand a lot of it then. Even though it was a ticket out of jail, I was excited to learn something that I've never learned before. And it was the last thing that I tried, but the first thing that's ever worked for me.
Growing up, you didn't go to church.
My grandmother, I would go to church with her every once in a while. I went when I was little. I didn't know who Jesus was. Then, you find out that Jesus is the Son of God, but he's fully man, and he came down here to be the perpetuation for our sins, the Redeemer.
I'm down south. It's all Baptist and Pentecostal. I grew up in the church, but I rejected that because I rejected the people attached to that. And, I got into my addiction, was living my life, and I went on like this little spiritual journey, and I looked into a lot of different religions. I eventually came back to Christ. I don't know exactly how to explain it, and I don't know that I can, but I know in my heart that Christ is real and that he died for my sins and that I am forgiven and that I am saved. I actually got baptized in prison because my mother didn't have me baptized because part of Christian belief is that you have to choose that. I got saved when I was 12. But that was before the addiction demon got a hold of me. And that was before I lived 25 years ripping and running, in and out of jail, bad relationships, bad choices, bad decisions. And it was actually in prison through an 18-month faith-based program that I came back to Jesus and got baptized.
Whatever brings us there.
Let's talk about the Daughters of Hope and Transformation. This wasn't a traditional 12-step model.
It strictly Christ-centered.
How did that work?
It's a 1-year, completely Christ-centered program. Your first 6 months is your phase 1, and the last 6 months is a phase 2. In the first 6 months, we're in the Bible 7 days a week, and we learn the word, and we learn who Christ is. We learned our identity in Christ. During that first 6 months, we go out and in the community, we do community service. We give back to the community that was giving to us. This was also the same community that I used in. I got to make new, healthy relationships to integrate back out to. The second half, you're still in the Bible 7 days a week, but at that point, you get a job. You get to work 25 hours a week. We had to pay rent at that point. So we learned how to be responsible and how to juggle everyday life. And you get a phone at that point. Not a smartphone, but a flip phone.
Before you went to this program, had you tried any other ways of getting sober? Did you go to AA or NA or anything like that?
In 2010, I went to an outpatient program and was required to do some NA meetings. But I was ordered, so I was just doing what I had to do to get through that time. It really wasn't seeking recovery. And then in 2012, I went to an inpatient program over in Searcy, Arkansas. And I did do NA for about a little over a year. I was really involved in it. And I had a sponsor and I was working the steps. And then I just fell out of it. I really didn't want to be sober then. My son was in DHS custody, and so I was just doing what I needed to do to get through that.
Once you got into this program, what was it about that approach that actually worked for you when the other things hadn't worked?
I had this void in me. My whole life, I was searching for something to fill that void, and I filled it with men, drugs, crime, anything I could get a cheap thrill out of. When I came to the program, people there were automatically just loving on me, telling me that they loved me, and they genuinely meant it. And I thought, how can these people love me when they don't even know me? If they really knew me, they definitely wouldn't love me. But they loved me just as I am. Jesus, he loves us just as we are. They were just shining the love of Jesus on me. And I thought, I want my life to look like that. So 6 months in, I got to go to a home visit. My boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, Jamie, he came and took me on my home visit, and I had such anxiety. Everything was triggering me, and I thought, I'm always going to be like this. I'm always just going to be this addict. That made me dive deeper into prayer and just a desire to change, and reading the word and learning what the word says about me. The word tells me that I'm loved, I'm chosen.
Right.
And he's loved me since before I was even born, and that I don't have to be perfect. I strive so hard to be perfect in this fallen world, and I thought people who went to church had a perfect life,
Yeah.
and that I was somehow weird because I had all this stuff going on with me and nobody else had this stuff going on with them. And that's one thing that kept me out of church. Oh, those people are just judgmental. They don't know what I'm going through. But come to find out, they have problems too. Just seeing people love me for who I really was and their life that gave me I wanted what they had. And so that's what I did.
I think it's a common misconception that people have when you come across people that have a real true faith. And I don't mean just Christians. Anybody that they believe in something greater than themselves and they feel connected to that thing. I think it's humbling and it gives you a sense of connection. And people that do that, it is undeniable. They're happy, joyous, and free. Like you said, things happen. There's still going to be tragedy here on earth. This is a fallen world, and we fall short of the glory of God every day. You're still going to break your toe. You're still going to lose your job. Your dog's still going to die. People are going to get sick. But the difference is that when you have that faith and you realize you have this connection, you just handle things so much better because you have, okay, I lost my job. Well, you know what? I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to have hope, and I'm going to get another job. And it's that I think is what people see in churchgoers that they don't see in the next guy. And that's why it seems like we've got it all together. We don't have it all together. My dog just had surgery. I had to take my car to the mechanics. Nothing's easy. But it's how we're able to put it in perspective and handle it and move on the next day. I think that's the difference.
You would be surprised at the people who are in church. Like my church, there's so many overcomers. There's something in this world that does take a hold. Whatever your thing might be that's got you in bondage, everybody out there struggled with something.
Absolutely.
It's just good to be in a place where everybody has went through something, but we have overcome through Christ. And as long as we don't try to control our own situation, we're going to get through it. When I try to control things, things get a mess. My whole life's a proof of it. I always wanted to be in charge. I wanted to be in control of everything. When you just learn to put yourself to the side and let something greater than yourself, who I call Jesus, guide my way and lead me, things turn out a lot better.
I agree. If you do AA or NA, the point of that is to bring you to connection with your higher power so you can get out of your own way. How could you see in your life that Jesus was working?
At the beginning of the program, my husband, Jamie, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. He was out in the world still struggling. Your family could come and visit you on Saturday if they were doing good and what they needed to be doing. So he was coming and seeing me. I had it all planned out. We were going to go get some counseling through the pastor, and we were going to get married, and our life was going to be good, right? That was in my head. That's not how it went. So he kept messing up, and they told him he could no longer come. And that was devastating for me. I took a stand at that moment because I wanted my life to be different. I said, I am going to follow Jesus, and this is what I am going to do. At that point, I gathered faith. It was a hard struggle for me while I was in there. I was like, this is not how my life's supposed to go. You're supposed to be with this man. And I prayed and I prayed. And then I had what I call a divine God appointment. I was a few hours away paying on some old fines at a courthouse, and I met a guy there, and it was for a men's program. And I thought, I got somebody who needs to go. And I got the guy's number. And, God answers prayers, not how we think it should look like, but in a totally different way. So my husband went to that program and he worked on himself. At that point is when I really started having faith, when I seen God really just starting to work things out, but not how I planned. It's God's way and God's timing. He went to a Christ-centered program and he learned who Jesus was. God knew exactly what he was doing and who we needed in our life. Once you see God working, it's impossible to not have faith. God says we just need faith of a mustard seed. That's so tiny.
Yeah.
When you see things happening, your faith just grows. I think that you go through things so your faith can grow. The Bible tells us that we should rejoice in our trials and tribulations because of the situation that's happening. Our faith is going to increase.
Right. And we're going to learn something. And I like how you said that God answers all prayers. I think that people misunderstand because they will pray for something like they're making a wish.
Yeah.
And God does answer all prayers. Sometimes the answer's no.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not meant to have that thing. So I think that's a really good point.
Not a genie.
You don't bargain with God. Well, if you do this, I'll do that. They said, God's going to have his way. And you can kick and scream and be mad all day long. And guess what? Sky's still blue. Grass is still green. Know what to tell you. Nobody answers to me. I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. We're older. We're in our 50s. I got clean and my husband was still struggling for a long time. And it wasn't until he had a spiritual experience, he had a come to Jesus moment, everything changed. And it changed like that. He's 55 now, so 40 years of struggling and rehabs and 12-step programs and this kind of program and that kind of program and everything in its brother until finally he really truly surrendered. And now we're in church every Sunday. We're reading the literature. We're reading scripture. I finally got him to start tithing. It's hard to squeeze money out of a man, I tell you what. The transformation I have seen in him is amazing, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
The Bible tells us those who are forgiven much are thankful much. My husband says all the time, I feel like God's better to me than he is to anybody. And I feel that same way too. God has been so good to me. The things that have happened in my life, the restoration, the home that he's given us, the people that he's put in my life. I have an amazing church family. It's just so good. God knows exactly what we need, who we need, and when we need it. People need people, not drugs. We do. Whatever someone's recovery looks like, whether it's NA or Christ, It's all about surrounding yourself with the people who get you, who can hold you accountable, who can bring things to when you're struggling, because we are not perfect. People do struggle.
That's a good point, too. I believe that God talks to us through other people. I will hear the same thing over and over again. People will be put in my life and tell me something that is what God is trying to tell me. That's why I know in my heart that somebody, somewhere, someday is going to watch this and it's somehow going to reach them and touch them and change their life. I believe that.
Yeah, I pray that.
I may never know about it. They may never tell me. It doesn't matter if I know or not. This is how God speaks through us to others. Hey, look at what Melissa did. If she could do it, you could do it. Recovery by any means necessary. For people who are hesitant about faith-based recovery, what would you want them to understand?
People are hesitant for many reasons. Maybe they grew up in church and maybe something happened where they're mad at God. They might not just want to hear, like when I first met my in-laws, for example. My father-in-law is a pastor, and my first time meeting him, I told him, I don't want to hear about your Jesus. And I think that I say that because I knew what I was doing was wrong.
Right.
And so I didn't want you to hammer down like, you're holier than me or whatever. I didn't want you to tell me about how I was doing wrong, because I already knew what I was doing was wrong. I just didn't know how to quit. I would say, even if you come out and you don't believe, hey, what do you got to lose? You know, if you don't believe none of it, what do you got to lose just trying it?
Good advice.
I mean, if it's not for you, then try something else. Just keep trying until you find what works for you, because there's something out there for everybody.
There is.
But I'm always in a Jesus. Like, hands down, Jesus is where it's at. My struggles look different today. I used to make a mountain out of a molehill before when I had a problem. It was just devastating. It was chaotic. I was just dramatic about it. Problems aren't that big to me anymore. I go through situations and hard things, yes, but I know that I'm going through it for a purpose. Today I have a purpose, and whatever the situation is, it's for a purpose.
Right.
So I'm grateful for it.
Right, and we don't know what the reason is. We don't know what's going to happen. We just have to do our little part. We're here to do God's work, not his job. How did your own recovery lead you into helping others?
I graduated the program May 27th of 2023. And in August, I had to go serve time in prison.
Talk about that.
From 2022, I got arrested. I had those charges still hanging over my head. I had to go serve my time for my punishment.
How long did you have to serve?
I was just gone for 8 months altogether.
Even though you went through the program? Because when I went to mine, I was looking at a third probation violation that could have landed me 18 months back in prison. My probation officer, because I completed the program, did not violate me. So he allowed me to, let's see if you can keep it together this time. And I did. So
this prison trip was what they call RPF, Regional Punishment Facility. It was a therapeutic community. I don't know that there was too much therapeutic about it, but it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. It wasn't scary. I'd been to prison before, but we had to hold people accountable for wrongdoings. It was a one fall, we all fall community. Someone gets in trouble, we could have repercussions from it. I had to trust in God a lot. Just, Lord, get me through this. So there was a few situations in there where I just thought, oh my God, I'm about to lose my time and it's going to put me in here longer. But I did my time and I got out. I'm so grateful I don't ever have to go back there again.
That's right. How did you get into peer support?
In there, I obtained my GED, and there was peer supports that came in and they were telling me about this. Your requirement is 2 years clean. You have your GED, and I got out of prison at the end of March of 2024. And in September, I went to my core training for a peer specialist. I had to go through a training and a lot of continuing education. I had to have work experience hours. November of 10th of this year, I took my core test and passed it. Then I had to get some more continued education. I think it was 14 hours. And then I put in for my national certification.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. You have to figure out, who am I? My life doesn't consist of riffraff and chaos anymore. So who am I? Because you're discovering this new creation that you are. God really laid it on my heart that all my years of chaos and struggling and abusive relationships was so that I could use my experience to support somebody else as they're going through theirs and teach them how to navigate through these feelings and things that sometimes can hinder us from growing or
Absolutely.
return us back to using.
You use your powers for good instead of evil.
Yeah. Yeah. What the devil meant for death, the Lord meant for good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do you think peer-to-peer recovery works when people feel so isolated? When you're in it, you don't trust anybody. You don't really believe people are there to help you. How do you convince people that peer-to-peer does work?
I meet them exactly where they are, whatever that looks like. And they don't have to pretend to be something that they're not. I know what you're going through. I've been there and I genuinely can relate. I went to prison in Kansas back in like 2016. I was court ordered to go to this outpatient program and it was horrible. Counselors like 23. And she had never done drugs or anything. I had a problem with that. I told my probation officer, I said, she can't even relate to what I'm going through. How is she going to tell me how I'm feeling or work through anything? Because she does not understand. She's never been here. She's never struggled with anything. If I could have had somebody that had related to me at that moment, I might have not had to go there like 3 different times. When you sit down and you can relate with somebody on how they're truly feeling, on the struggles of just white knuckling it sometimes, not wanting to use or whatever it might be, when you relate with somebody, it's just a whole different ball game.
I agree 1,000%. I stayed high in prison. Went through the residential drug abuse program. It's a 9-month program in prison. The people that were there were officers. They didn't know anything about what I had gone through. And even if they could understand addiction and they could understand what happens to the brain and the body and la la, okay, I trust that you know what you're talking about, but I don't believe you're going to know what I'm talking about. So it did not work for me. And it wasn't until I went to a rehab where everybody was in recovery. Everybody that was there, that was a counselor or a house mom or recovery coaches, that's when it really clicked for me. And now I don't just do this. I'm a certified recovery coach and I work at a treatment center and I'm not a nurse. I'm a recovered drug addict. That's what I bring to the table. I know how to get clean and stay that way. And I'm happy to help you. And it works. It works.
It does work. It's so good. I think even before when I was saying that I didn't go to church because those people didn't understand me, I thought I had to be perfect to go in there. It's the same sense. When we go to a counselor who's never been to us, we feel inferior and they can't understand how I'm truly feeling inside.
Right.
My life is falling apart. You don't know.
You don't know that hole in my soul. You don't know what it's like to be carpet surfing. You don't know what it's like to be stuck in the blinds. You don't know what it's like to have no emotion left other than fear and be hiding under the blanket. God forbid somebody talk to you.
Yeah.
You can't know what that's like.
Yes. The loneliness that comes with it. You're surrounded by all these people who are just as miserable as you, but you're completely lonely.
Yeah. I call it starve the demon for a reason. That demon feeds us drugs and alcohol to get what it needs. And it needs our pain and our misery and our fear. So we have to stay happy, joyous, and free in order to starve it. And keep it too weak to do push-ups so it can't hurt us or hurt anybody else through us.
Yeah.
It's my little theory. But I tell you what, I've never met an addict or an alcoholic when I say that demon that doesn't know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that is true. But Paul says he has to pick his cross up daily. This is a daily thing. Every day you have to pick your cross up and just keep going and choose to believe and choose to have faith.
Right. And choose to do the next right thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if someone is watching this right now and feels stuck or hopeless, what would you want them to hear?
I would want them to hear that I too have felt stuck and hopeless. I too have felt like nobody understood anything that I had going on. And I too have felt that I didn't know where to stop the chaotic drug life to start anything new. And so if you are listening and you are struggling, that there is people all over this world, all over the place that is willing to help you. And so I just pray and hope that you have a desire or the strength to go pick up the phone and call somebody.
Amen. What is one small step someone can take today, not tomorrow, right now, toward recovery?
Choosing to do something different than you've done any other day. Whether that is go and hang out with your family for the day, or loved ones that you haven't seen in a while, or pick up the phone and call a number for help, or just not pick up today. Choose life today because things out there are killing people today.
They are.
So
They are.
choose your life today.
Scary, scary. I thank Jesus for this too, that I quit using May 16, 2019, last time I did any drugs or drank any booze. Fentanyl wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Fentanyl wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't a thing. It wasn't out there. People weren't doing it. In my little world, it wasn't a thing.
Well, now everything is fentanyl in it. It's Russian roulette out there. If people are out there listening, you are important. You have a purpose, even though it might not seem like it right now. You do matter. Choose not to pick up today. Reach out for help. Maybe go to a church service. Just find whatever it is that's different, because the only thing out there today is pretty much death.
It's dangerous.
And life is so good sober.
It is.
It really is. It's exciting and it's fun and
it is.
It's just happy.
They tell us you're going to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. Well, I don't know what people's wildest dreams are, but for me, I thought I was going to die in a trailer park, die high. And instead, I own my trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm married. I got food in my refrigerator and money in the bank and a job. And I'm not on probation. And they're not looking for me. There's no warrants.
I know. That's such a good feeling. I got 6 months left on parole. And for the first time in my life, all my fines are paid. And so who cares? You know, it's not hard anymore.
Right.
When you quit doing what you're not supposed to do, it's easy to be on paper.
It really is. Listen, I did 10 years federal probation. And the last 6 of them, more inconvenient than anything else.
Yeah.
I've gone through 3 probation officers. One of them retired. The last one I got, God bless her, I told her, I was like, because she got me like, I didn't even have, I don't think a year left. And, I was like, this is just inconvenient for me. And I think she was a little put back when I said that. I'm like, look, babe, I've been doing this for 9 years after I spent 8.5 years in prison. The things that I have overcome and the demons I have battled, this is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So easy.
Yeah. You know, probation's hard though. If you're riding dirty, it's practically impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible, period.
It is. I know people that would rather go do time than be on probation. And that's crazy to me.
That was me once.
If people want to learn more about you or the work you're connected to, where should they go?
I'm on Facebook. It's under Melissa Jamie. I'm also on TikTok. I post a lot of uplifting things and share my life on TikTok too.
I'm going to put it in the description so you guys can find her. Is there anything else that you would like people to know?
I really do pray for the people out there who are still going through things and don't know that there's help out there. Life can be so good. I just want everybody to get it. I do. You have to find your people. Find good, accountable people to do this with. I'm so grateful for my whole family, my children, and my church family. I have the best church family. Just find your groove, whatever it looks like for you. Just find whatever works for you because there's something out there for everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Melissa, thank you for sharing your story and your heart today. And to everyone watching, recovery is possible, and you don't have to do it alone. You can find more episodes, resources, and ways to support the show at starvethedemon.com. If this content matters to you, like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps this message reach the people who need it most. Keep coming back. I'm going to keep coming back. Love everybody. Let God sort them out. Bye.